and welcome back to Fun Freeman Friday. It's been a while. This is Crafting with Crystal. We're going to do a fun little craft today. We're going to be making rubber stamps. It's very simple, very easy. It will only take about 5 minutes depending on how quickly you work. But hopefully the video is short today. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so a few of the things that you're going to need today are a pair of scissors, a pencil, a sheet of paper, your ink pad, your rubber block, wherever you can get them from, and you'll need this little tool here. I got mine from Michael's, but you can get them at any art store. It has this neat little holding thing at the end so that you don't have to keep wondering where your pieces are. I have a little eraser here too, just in case I need it. But they all have this rounded end so that it fits into this little ball joint socket there. And they all have a different front piece. So this one is to slice. This one is just a carver. It's a very thick one. This is a thinner carver, our thinnest carver, and our medium carver. So they're all going to be used to just outline this design and take out the pieces that we don't want. So what we're going to start out with is our thinnest liner, but that's just because that's what I start out with. You can use whatever you need. If you're doing a bigger design, then you'll need the bigger carver, obviously. But you'll just have to loosen it up here. You see how it's going down? Can't really see it there. And you'll just place that in and tighten it. So now it's tight and we can go ahead and carve with this. So let's go ahead and move on and get to our design. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going ahead and cutting out a small corner of this block so we can have a small design. It doesn't have to be very big. But I'm going to cut out a small square of this, and it's very easy to cut with regular scissors, or you can use your carver. Not your carver, your slicer. So put that away, and then we're just going to come up with the design. So I want this to become a pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline my square here. It's going to be very light. See there? And then I'm going to, on either side of this square, make a design so that when I fit it together, it'll be a pattern. But let me go ahead and do that to show you. The eraser won't really work on the rubber, but it'll work good enough just to keep your outline separate. So what I'm going to do now is I have all these triangles. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the ones that I want to stay up. So that's what I have now. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to go ahead and carve out this little square. And instead of just carving it out, I'm going to go ahead and cut it so that it's to the size that I want it to be. Not a perfect square, but we can work with it. So now what I'm going to do is bring you a little closer. And I'm going to start carving around the areas that have my filled in triangles. This one is better for lining, which is why I use it first. I'm not going to use my slicer today just because it's easier for me to outline this and then get rid of all the extra If it were a more detailed design, then I would use a slicer. Now that I've got it outlined, if you can kind of see there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this one out. And I'm going to go ahead and get my medium carver, if I can find it. Add that in there, tighten it down, close my end, and I'm going to go ahead and start really digging out these middle areas. All the areas that I don't want to show up, or they're going to be a negative space whenever I ink it. And I want to get as close to my outline as possible. These ones just go deeper and wider. So you don't have to do as much work. You can just peel those right off. I'm making these really deep because I don't want any of this negative space to show up on my design. So it may not look like it, but these tools are rather sharp. So be careful. You may even want to wear a set of gloves. Not the flimsy ones that you use for cleaning, but really sturdy gloves, like anti-slice gloves. I'm just used to working with this, so I'm not going to use any gloves. Here I am still getting rid of all the space. And it is a very simple design, but I'm just trying to get you to see what we're using these things for. Okay, so now I have my little 3 triangles here. They're all carved out. And I'm going to go ahead and ink it and show you what it looks like. So there's my ink pad. Press it down really good. And there you have your little design. And since I've made it one-sided on a square, it will become a pattern if I choose to turn it over. Like that. And so I can continue with this if I so choose and make a full page of this pattern. I'm not very good at centering, but you get the idea. So let's do one more to go over again. And this one I will use the slicer. Okay, so here we have our stamp. Let's go ahead and make something a little more detailed. Start out with the body. Okay, so I have made a little bee here. So I'm going to go ahead and take out my medium thing here. Place in my carver. Oh, it wants to go. Sometimes you have to play with this. There we go. And I'm just going to slice carefully around my design. This is so whenever I'm cutting around it and I'm carving it, the pieces will just fall off because they'll know where to stop. Okay, so I've carved my outline. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and do these inside lines too, since I'll be carving those out. So they know where to stop. So with this one, I'm going to use my very fine liner, taking this out once again, putting in my fine liner. And I'm going to trace around the inner parts that I want to stay inked. And since I want an outline to stay, I'm going to go ahead and outline it again, but on the inside. Oh, it's hard to see me working over here. I apologize. And I only did that because I've already sliced around here. So I do want a small outline around my bee, and I carved a little too closely to it before I thought about it. So you really want to think your designs through and kind of plan before you start drawing it up and carving. Same thing for the wings. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and use my bigger carver, probably my medium one. Place that in there, tighten it down. I'm going to go ahead and go around my design since I've already sliced it. And again, be careful with your fingers because it's very easy to slip off of the rubber and hurt yourself. You always want to try to carve away from yourself. Okay, I've got that fully outlined. I'm going to go ahead and use my medium one again and carve out these middle spots. I'm going to go in with my fine liner and get a little bit closer to these areas. So they're a little bit more detailed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and use my largest one and tighten it down and go around my entire design here. Instead of doing this, you can go ahead and just cut around it if you'd like with scissors, so you don't have to carve out this whole area. I'm just doing it this way to show you what it might look like if you don't get all of the areas evenly. So I'm going to leave this uneven to kind of show you what will happen if you do happen to leave it uneven. It will show up on the ink pad, so you want to make sure that you get as close as possible and make it all even whenever you were carving it out. And this is very messy, so you may want to work in an area that you already have set up to create a mess. Okay, so we have our basic outline here. So let's go ahead and show you what it looks like even though it's uneven at the moment. Okay, kind of upside down. So you see how it carried over and where I didn't make it all even on the outside. If I just cut around this with scissors, it won't be as big of a deal. But you can see how I went ahead and outlined my wings and my body with those fine liners, and it created the effect that I desired. So that's just kind of showing y'all what y'all can do with it. It really is all up to your imagination, what you can come up with and how much patience you have. But it is a very simple craft idea and very, very nice touch if you happen to send snail mail like I do. So I'm cutting off those edges. There's still a couple on there that it'll show. I just wanted to re-show that. See how there is less lining around it. There is still some lining here, but again, that can be easily remedied if you just cut around it. And of course, if you are good with woodworking, you can make little blocks and stamp your picture on there and then glue this to the block as if it were an actual stamp from the store. So let's say we cut around it to remedy all of our extras. And now it is fully nice and neat. No extra little bits around here. So that was our craft for today. If you are hearing some extras, it's because I have a new mic. If you see me sitting off to the side during this, it was because I have a new gizmo that I'm using to go ahead and make these videos. Still getting used to it, like I said the last few times, but it's hard to get used to it when you only use it every so often. So it's super simple to go ahead and make these, and then once you get more acquainted with your own style of drawing and with the idea of cutting things out, then you'll make more and more progressively detailed designs like this. So I have a little bag full of little creations that I've made that I use. So it's really fun. It's super easy to go ahead and do as long as you have this lifesaver of a tool and your ink pad. So I hope you enjoyed the craft today. I hope you enjoy us the next Fun Freeman Friday. And please leave a comment and share this video. Have have a stamp making party. I don't know, but have fun with it. As I always say, don't be scared to make mistakes. And we will see you next time.